What time is it now in US? Is it
It's
12?
2.
Or 12?
All right. Hey, everyone. All right, we're going to get started now. Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for being here today. My name is Brian Granger. Hopefully, you can hear me okay. I'm really happy to welcome you all to our newest exhibition here, which is Namsaluba Crossed Looks. Today, we're happy to present the artist Namsaluba in conversation with the guest curator, Joseph Girdle. Now, understandably, as a resident of France, Namsa is unable to travel here for the opening. So we will be conducting this talk virtually with an in-person component as well. Joseph and Namsa will have a conversation about the work, followed by a brief Q&A. It'll all happen on this TV screen here. But to prevent audio feedback from happening and to allow for a very smooth conversation, Joseph will be doing his part from the back office. So he's here, Wizard of Oz style, but he'll be able to after the event is over, he'll be able to come out and chat if anyone else has any questions as well. But we will be doing a Q&A with Joseph and Namsa. So for you guys here, we are going to, if you guys want to just ask your question, I can relay it to them on Zoom here. And then we also have a form on our website, halsey.cmc.edu/live, where everyone else is watching this. So you can also send them a question that way as well. Probably easiest just for me to call on you, and you can ask it. For those of you who are watching at home, we're so happy you could join us virtually. And there's a form on the website that you're watching right now, right below this video. You can ask questions there at any time. We will get it, and I will relay the questions to Joseph and Namsa. So, and for those of you who are watching at home, I hope you will have a chance to come out and see the show this semester. The Halsey Institute is open from 11 to 4 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and until 7 p.m. on Thursdays. Crossed Looks will be open and on view until December 11th. Please check out our website for more information on the exhibition and upcoming events. Please note that masks are also required right now for all visitors at the Halsey. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank our members. We cannot bring exhibitions like this one to Charleston without your support. So thank you so much for helping to advance our mission, which is bringing adventurous artists and ideas from around the world, right here in Charleston. If you're not a member but would like to be, check out halsey.cmc.edu/join or contact any of us for more information. I also wanted to give a shout out. The Crossed Looks here is made possible in part by the National Endowment for the Arts, Pro Helvetia, the Swiss Arts Council, and Garden and Gun, as well as donors Belinda and Richard Girdle, Diane and Gary DeAngelis, South State Bank, Kathleen and Tom Wright, Carol Perkins and David Rawl, Cindy and Sean Barnett, Dina and Walter McCracken, and Marissa Sands. So thank you so much for your support for this exhibition. One more quick note, we did produce a full exhibition catalog for this show, along with a printing press in Italy called Damiani. The books will arrive here any day now. So we're anxiously waiting on them. We do have a copy at our front desk if you wanted to check it out. Kaylee's holding it up. It's a beautiful book. And we do have a pre-order link on our website as well. So we'll definitely let you know when they get here. We're super excited. It has essays by Joseph, Emmanuel Aduma, and Dr. Mary Trent as well. So to introduce our guest today, Namsaluba is a Swiss Ghanaian photographer and art director. She studied at ECAL, where she studied photography and got a master's in art direction. And that's the University of Art and Design in Lausanne, Switzerland. Luba has participated in international exhibitions, including Making Africa, a continent of contemporary design at the Guggenheim Bilbao, Africa Reframed at Oxenholland in Copenhagen, Denmark, The New Black Vanguard at Aperture in New York. She was also featured in African State of Mind at the New Art Exchange in London. She was commissioned recently by Nike to create the Nigerian campaign for the 2018 FIFA World Cup. And she was commissioned by the New Yorker to create a photographic series with emerging Afrobeats musicians in Lagos in 2018. She's also produced fashion campaigns for Christian LaCroix, Eden, and La Prairie. She's also collaborated with Dior to create 2 Lady Dior art bags. Her work has been published in numerous magazines, including The New Yorker, ID, Kaleidoscope, Interview, Vice, and New York Magazine, among many more. And the guest curator of the show, Joseph Bergel, is an independent curator with a focus on contemporary art in Africa. Based in New York and Lagos, he serves as the director of Co, an art gallery specializing in modern and contemporary art. And he's also the director of Art House Contemporary, an art auction house. He served as the co-curator for 3 editions of Lagos Photo Festival and as curator for Art 21 and African Artists Foundation in Lagos. He has organized exhibitions with contemporary African artists in Lagos, London, Paris, New York, Cape Town, Johannesburg, Miami, Dubai, Marrakesh, and Odessa, and now Charleston, obviously. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to our guests, and I'm gonna make sure the sound is okay as well. So go ahead, Joseph, are you there?
All right, yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Great, I am going to share my screen so we can see some images. Okay, should be nice now. So hi, Namsa, it's great to see you. It's great to see you in person over the screen. Really sorry that you can't be here physically for the exhibition. I know this has been a long time in the making. The exhibition was supposed to open last August, a year ago, and it was delayed because of the pandemic. And now you can't be here in person because of the pandemic. You're currently in France, and EU citizens still aren't allowed in the US. So I'm glad that we can participate with you virtually for this. You and I have known each other for almost a decade now. We've worked on many exhibitions together, and I think we've been all over the world together for your shows. So it's been a really great experience to get to know you and to be involved with your work. I wanted to start the conversation today to talk about your background and your experiences growing up. You know, you've said that a lot of your work is about your cultural upbringing and having this duality of cultures between Ghanaian family and Swiss family. So can you talk about your experiences growing up and how that's informed your work?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Joseph and Bayan. I think all my work was inspired by my heritage, my double origin, and diversity meetings and exchanges. And I think, you know, the thing, when I was in Europe, all people think that or told me that I am African, and when I am in Africa, everyone would tell me that I am white, I am a Swiss, so I am sitting between 2 shirts. But yeah, I think my double heritage and origins influence all of my work, and I think the structure and the aesthetic and because even in my work you can see the fashion. I have a fashion aesthetic, you know, about the pose, and I think all these things is from my Western side. It's my European side, and from my African side, it will be much more the spirit, the culture, what else? Well, the rituals and all these things will inspire my work.
And how did you get started working on these projects? So you went to ECHAL, which is a very prestigious art school in Switzerland, and you studied photography and you studied art direction. And I think we can really see the influence of art direction in your work, because your work is constructed, staged for the camera, and very deliberate. So how did your studies at ECHAL influence your work?
Yeah, but I think I was grew up in Switzerland, and I study as well in Europe, and I think all the environment where I study and I grew up influenced all my work. And for this reason as well, I say I work on African identity through the Western eyes, because I can't say through the African eye, because I grew up and I was born in Switzerland. And I think if I was born in Africa, or like in Guinea, I think my vision, my look will be totally different, because the environment around me would have influenced my work totally in different way. And as I said just before, I think, I've learned in Europe how to structure, how to compose, how to set up as well. And I think all my aesthetic is from this side. And the other side, it will be much more the spiritual stuff, the culture will be influenced by work.
So I think
and as well as the religion and all this ritual stuff will influence my work. Yeah.
I think a good place to start talking about some of these themes in your work is to look at some of your projects over the years. And I'd like to start with Yakala Ben. This is an image of Yakala Ben in the exhibition currently. And it was really your first long-term project in Africa. You had started in 2011, or you completed the project in 2011. And I think it was really the base of a lot of what the projects you developed subsequently from. So could you talk to us about Yakala Ben, what the ideas behind it are, and what was the process like?
Yeah, so it was one of my first works that I've done in Africa, Yakala Ben. So Yakala Ben, it means cross-looked as a book, and as a show now in US. And so it was inspired by statuettes that we use for different rituals. So we can go and meet a marabout, kind of like witch doctor, and ask him to make one. After, it depends what you need. And so the marabout, witch doctor, if you want, will animate the wooden statuette by his mind. And my work, it was to use already human being alive, that you don't need to animate them because they're already alive, And to take a picture like that, alive, and they are human being, and I put them in different holy places in Guinea to take the picture. It's very disturbed some people in the Guinean community, because I take, if you want, an artifact from the Guinean cosmogony, and I put to another place. So I deconstruct to reconstruct a new tools, and I decontextualize to recontextualize these tools to another place to create a new stuff. So these things very disturb some people in Guinea, and they've seen my work like a sacrilege, because they say, oh my God, you can do that. You can take some things that most of the time it's hidden, like in a house of a marabout, and we're not supposed to see that in outside from his house, So for this reason as well, that I had some violent reaction, and I was as well arrested by the police. But I think I could make that project because as well I am mixed, And I am in the border, I am on the borderline of what you can do, what you can't, and you can.
So can you talk a little bit about the process? Because, what a lot of people may not know about first seeing your images, because, at first glance, your images look like documentary images, but they're not documentary. They're a fiction that you've created, and you've created the costumes and the props and set it up and collaborated with the people to sort of act out this scene. So can you talk about what your process is like and how you met people and how did you get the clothes and accessories you used?
So think in my picture, I like to do docu-fiction. What I show is not the reality, it's a reality. So it's my reality for one project. And the things that I like even in my work is like some people, if they don't know the culture from a country where I took the picture, the most of the time they're gonna think that it's a reality. Because I play well. I play well with the costume. It's like I like to create as well some new costume, some new outfits, and to mix with real as well outfits that it exists already. And I like to create something new with both things, and so I think this as well perturbs some people, and they have already an idea in the collective memory that maybe African people are get dressed like that, but absolutely not, And I think these things is very interesting how we can think that it's a reality, but absolutely not, And even when I was in South Africa, some people thought that my work in Guinea was the reality, that people will get dressed like that. Or when I was in Benin, some people thought in Western side that I found people get dressed like that. And then I like to work with unprofessional people. Because you can direct them better, and you can get inside of yourself much better to find something more precious inside of themselves, and I think you can have something much more personally as well of them when it's not unprofessional. It's totally different. When it's for a commons, I don't mind to work with professional model, but otherwise I like to work with unprofessional. I think they give me something much more true.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? What was because you asked me many questions in once.
I think that I think the really interesting aspect of your work is this sort of how it blurs lines between between different aspects of when we look at a photograph. I mean, you talk about you play with our presumed ideas of reality and our preconceived notions of looking at another culture and these sort of ideas of exoticism that might come from that, and it seems like you take that and exaggerate it so that these issues are brought up, and then you've talked a lot about in the past about how when people look at the work outside of the Guinean context and aren't aware of the statues and the spiritual meanings of the objects that you're referencing, and they start looking at as a fashion image, as the types of clothes you used and the types of props and the poses, and how there's many different ways to read images, and it's all influenced by the way where the cultures we come from and the way we're exposed to others.
Yeah, exactly. And as well from a series Zulu Kids, I like to do some different syncretism, and like for the series Zulu Kids, it's like a mix with Voodoo culture and Zulu culture, and I made some, and I made a new work, but this statuette as well doesn't exist, you know.
So can we talk about the Zulu Kids a
Yeah,
little bit? So Zulu Kids was made in South Africa. You did a residency in 2014. And so you went, and it was, in some ways, it's a continuation of Yakala Ben. You know, it's the same sort of basic idea of making humans these personify in statues.
Still speaking about identities, about culture.
Yes. But then in South Africa, they don't have this tradition of the statues, right? So can you talk about how so you've sort of done something, you've added another layer to the South Africa series?
But you know, the thing, it was very interesting in South Africa because my works was really welcome to compare in Guinea, you know, because it was something fake, you know, so they could see that it doesn't exist in their culture, you know, and Voodoo doesn't exist, that other beliefs, and it's totally different. And as well, there is any rituals that that kids or people are stand up on the wood, you know. And it was very interesting because they were very exciting as well to participating at my project, and they were very curious. It's interesting because we haven't seen this kind of things to happen here in South Africa. But as well, you know, if you show my work maybe in different places in Africa, and they don't know the culture in South Africa, or if I show my work maybe even in US on Western side, in Europe, maybe they could think that it exists.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said before, you know, all my work is like a docu-fiction, and I like to blur the pieces, the different to blur the different pieces ways, you know.
Mm-hmm. And then you also, in this series, you are referencing different political issues, and that's something of an extension from Yakala Ben. Like this work, for example, Power, you're, you know, talking about the Black Power symbol, and you reference in other images about the burning of a passport, which references the apartheid history in South Africa. So you also added that element to this series.
But as well, I forgot to speak about that, but I was really as well inspired by the complex history that's happened in South Africa with apartheid, and it's very inspired my work.
So also in South Africa, you created a series called Ndebele Patterns, and I've always really loved this series because I think it's like such a simple gesture of really what your work at all, you know, in its entirety is about. So, you know, Ndebele is a community in South Africa, and they're very well known for their geometric patterns that they've adorned on houses and all kinds of places. And what you did, if I'm correct here, is that you took a mirrored reflection of that. And you know, so to me, it's about taking a symbol that's, you know, this cultural symbol that's very well known, and then creating something that's skewed and that's, you know, seeing it from a different perspective and really creating something new. So can you talk a little bit about this series? And also, I'd like to, you see here, I have some pictures of the Dior bag. So subsequently, years later, Dior came to you and you collaborated to make these patterns on Dior handbags. So you could talk about that as well.
It was a nice collaboration with them. I made two bags. But even this work speaks about identity. For me, it was as well interesting to shoot the reflection in my mirror of the Ndebele culture, you know. And as well, I decided as well how I use the mirror. It's blur as well a little bit the geometric pattern, so it means as well it's like a vision, my vision of that culture, and how I've seen as well that culture. It's totally as well another process, but it was much more experimental as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think this aesthetic that's sort of psychedelic and surreal that we see here, it's also something that we see in other projects. And I'd like to switch now to NGL, because I think we also see this sort of surreal and psychedelic filter that you've used here. NGL was made in Nigeria when you came and did a residency in Lagos. I was real excited to be a part of this series with you, been helping to plan it. And it stands for Next Generation Lagos. So can you talk about what the series is about?
This series speaks about the new generation of Lagos, the young generation they give to ourselves the things to do and to go up, to do a lot of different things, and there is such a good vibe and energy in Lagos, like even in the art culture, in the music, in the stylism, in the design, it's like there is a very good mixing of a lot of different things, and everything is going as well so fast. There is a very good creativity as well in Lagos. It was very interesting as well to be inspired by that, this young generation, and to create that series.
And I was really in awe watching the series being created, since I was able to be there. And there's so many components to it, because it was a real production. You had makeup artists, you had hairstylist, you had a stylist, we were getting clothes from local designers. So, it was a collaborative process for sure.
Yeah, totally. It was so great as well to collaborate with fashion designer, and to collaborate with different people over there. And there is a good one vibe to create all these projects. It was very cool.
So, this project, you can really see echoes of your work in fashion photography, because you're very well known for your personal work, and you're also known for your fashion work. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. This is some of the series over the years. This was Cocktail. This one was The African Queens. This is one called Tonkoma that was made in South Africa. So can you talk about, the connection between the more fashion-oriented series and the different personal series that are, more on location?
About the Cocktail, Tonkoma.
How's the connection between, what's the similarities or differences between working in this fashion-oriented way and working?
It was Fashion Command, right?
Yeah.
But it's just the difference is that we have to follow some directive, and I would say that's it, because otherwise we can see even in my works that there is a fashion influence, there is a fashion aesthetic. Even we can see in my first work, about Nia Calaben, the statuette. It was totally something kind of like new. It was artwork. It was speaking about something that is contemporary from me, but like very personal, and my identity, my double origins, blah, blah, blah. And as well, we can see something in art, much more fashion. It was a mix. And I think this is from my Europe part, but we can still see as well that when it's a comment when it's a comment, it's as well, it's kind of like mixed, but we can see that it's just not a personal work. Voilà, that's it. Mm-hmm. So most of the time I will work with professional as well. You won't be unprofessional. The directive will be a little bit different.
But I also think
the thing it's interesting is like every time that I work with a command is like I can keep my own style, and this is very important.
Mm-hmm. I think that you can definitely see, I mean, in this image, for example, of Cocktail, you can see how even in something that was, commissioned for a magazine, you're as an editorial, you're still talking about these sort of myths of exoticism with these, fake leopards and those sort of visual tropes. So, even when you're doing editorial work, you still have that language that, that's yours, that we can see.
Totally. Totally right.
So another long-term project in this exhibition is Weke, which was created in Benin. And it's also an extension of some of these same ideas. So can you talk about Benin, Weke? About what are the ideas behind it? And
yeah, so Weke as well is a keep going of my own work, and it speaks as well about rituals, about beliefs. And it was normal, to go in Benin and to study more about the Voodoo religion. And I wanted as well because every time that I go to a country, Africa, I meet some witch doctor or marabout, and I like as well to experiment some rituals and to spend time as well on the countries. And most of the time I could spend between 2 or 6 months or more, in the country to create my work. And I think it's very important to get this empowerment on myself. How do you say d'être imprégné?
Mm-hmm. Just to acclimate yourself to do your research and learn about it. Mm-hmm.
And to practice as well some different rituals. It's permit me as well to know more about it's around me, and to know more about the life as well, to experiment more and to see maybe the things in different way after when you experiment different things, in the ritual. And so as well, when I was in Benin, I did some rituals, and as well I wanted to show a reality of the Voodoo, and it's as well art documentation, art docu-fiction,
Mm-hmm. And you had told me that you actually would go with these the practitioners of Voodoo and watch them doing ceremonies, and you would go like to the forest at night, right? You were telling me about this Devil in the Sacred Forest, where you're actually going in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I can tell them that the rituals, it's not really the things that we can tell. It's
hard to explain.
Right? But even we don't say what it's happened,
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's private information.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And I think
it happened a lot of things, and I think when you practice it, you have to live and to do the experience, because when you do the experience, you can see a lot of things that you would have seen it,
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's very surprising.
And I think a big part of this project specifically. I think another aspect of this project that's interesting is that you're really talking about Voodoo, this idea that there's an invisible realm. And you obviously, by definition, cannot see an invisible realm through photography, because photography is about what you see. So you're really trying to document something or capture something that can't even be seen visually. And it's almost as if you're playing with two different types of systems of knowledge of something that we understand in photography about, about truth, and then about the voodoo spirituality, which you would really just have to accept to believe it.
I try to take in picture the invisible to make it visible. But it's hard to explain. But voila, how I feel when I practice these kind of things, and how I can show as well the invisible.
So another aspect I wanted to talk about is the way you present your images, because when people see the exhibition, the immediate aspect that you're drawn to is the way that you group images together. So it's not just about a single image, but it's about sort of an installation of them and how they interact with each other. And you have some images that are stickers as adhesives on the wall. You have other images that overlap those adhesives. You have many different colored frames. You've used different materials, like here you've printed on porcelain. We also have that you printed on tapestry here. So how is the presentation of these images important to you when you think about your project?
If after it depends a series, but I think sometimes it gives some rhythm to do a different hangout, on the wall, and to display a different way, and it gives a different rhythm, a different aspect as well, and there is a kind of like resonance and vibrations very different. And I think for me it's important as well to do that. That's not only like to hang out, like to display on the line, in a line.
So
I think even like to display in different way. I think this is from my European side.
So I wanted to end our conversation about talking about your latest project, Tahiti, and it's called Illusions. And so you lived for over 2 years in Tahiti, and you created a project that was based on the imagery of Paul Gauguin and many other types of imagery of what's known as tropical modern art. And that's really looking at the woman as, naive, exotic, innocent, but looking at it as somebody, as an other. And you had your own take on this, on creating a contemporary version of it. So can you talk about what this project is about?
This project speaks about the third gender, kind of like the third gender, or the dysphoria of gender. And so I took some picture of Mahu. Mahu are men who are men who have all the femininity and all the masculinity, but they're still men. And the Rere are women that they are very effeminate, and they like to transform themselves as well in the woman, and they feel like a woman. And the Mahu stay a woman, stay a man. And Mahu exists from the beginning of the Polynesian culture, and as well, this work speaks about identity. And for me, it was very interesting as well to take a picture of them, and because it belongs from the beginning of the culture, this Mahu and Rere exist, I think, from maybe the 60s or much later, But attends, wait. Attends, just wait. Joseph.
Sure.
Attends, just a moment. Tu peux pas lui donner juste son bureau, s'il te plaît? Il est sur la table de la cuisine. Dans une pochette. Sorry.
No problem.
And so the Bahu, he's a man, but he's very feminine, but he's still a man. Attends, je sais plus ce que je disais.
So with this series, how you've revisited this idea of that Gauguin created, and so how does that?
Sorry, and I was very inspired by the palette of color of Gauguin as well, and to create some new creature. For this reason, that all the women or the men have a different color, because we don't care about the color. It's just human or just a creature that And I just wanted to show the beauty that they have all in themselves, because some of them have perceived like a bad people, or like in bad way because they are transgender or they travesty themselves, So a lot of them have different parcours of life, Some of them are very well accepted by their family, some of them absolutely not, And me, I really wanted to put them like kind of like pedestal, and it was very exciting to work as well with them, because they told me, oh my God, it's the first time that someone put us like in empowerment,
highlighting them for their uniqueness.
Voilà, exactly.
Yeah. So, when we look at all of these projects collectively, I mean, I think there's a reoccurring theme, which you're really looking at the politics of the gaze. You're asking when you make images, it's not just about you making the image, it's about how the viewer is going to receive the image and what sort of interpretations they have. So I think you've mentioned before that you're looking at, you're thinking about who's looking, and you're looking at, who is being looked at, in what context is this looking happening. And I really think that's something that ties all of these projects together. And it's also, the subsequent title of this exhibition, which is Crossed Looks, which comes from your series Yakala Bin, your first long-term series. So, how does this idea of these crossing looks between two cultures, go back and relate to your own experience between two cultures?
To illusion and no?
Or just all together. One thing. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, that was Brian saying one thing. Well, just how the way that your work all together looks at how we look at cultures and how cultures look back at other cultures, and then it really relates to your own experience that you're always going through these two different cultures between your Guinean side and your Western side.
Yeah, but I think in my pictures I want to evoke as well the existence, explore the emotion. I think is very important, and to do and to work as well, to keep going to work on the identity, and as well to do something pictorial and conceptual. It's very something that's interesting me.
Mm-hmm. Well, great. So thanks so much for talking us through a lot of these projects. It's really illuminating to get some background and more information about how all of these projects came about. So we're now going to open it up for questions. I know we have an audience that's live, and we also have an audience watching virtually on the computer. So I'm going to open it back up to Brian, and he can start with questions. Brian, are you there? The one thing is that he just came in and told me that he had to restart the computer. So I think maybe he'll be coming in 1 second.
Okay.
So as we're waiting for Brian to come back in, maybe we can just follow up with you about, what are your current projects. I think that you've told me that lately you've been experimenting outside of photography. Is that right? That you've been painting?
Yeah, I started to paint, to do this experience when I was in Tahiti, in French Polynesia, but now I just stopped it a little bit because I was focused on other works. And now I'm experiencing as well tapestry and rug. And experimenting as well different way how to use the medium of the photography, you know, and different things that I'm trying to experiment, you know, because it's a good period, I think, to do that, because I couldn't really move to go to the other countries and even to go in Africa to make some new work. So it's a perfect time to think what I can do if I stay in Europe to create some new stuff. And as well, I'm going to maybe to a minimal way and something different.
Well, you know, I feel like a lot of your work has become increasingly abstract. I mean, even your photographic work, you know, you can see that in the Benin series, how a lot of the works are just completely abstract. So it seems to me that moving into the direction of painting isn't, you know, that far different from you're moving into really abstract photographs anyway.
Yeah.
Kaylee, I see you on here. Are you coming on to ask questions, or are we still waiting for Brian?
Hey, all right.
Oh, there you are. Okay, hi, Brian, you're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I do
No
have a
problem.
question from Dale, and the question is, how much direction do you get from fashion companies that commission your work?
Oh, I don't know how much. But I've made already some different collaboration with different brands, and it was great to work with them.
But normally, Namsa, they don't really tell you too much direction, right? They hire you because they want you to do your aesthetic, and they want
exactly.
and they give you the freedom for that.
Yeah. These things that it's totally cool, because otherwise it will be totally like just a simple command, and they will give me all the directive. But the things I think that I can feel very privileged about that I can keep almost all the directive and all my style.
All right, cool. And so another question, what is your favorite location that you've shot in? And how did the local communities respond to you working there?
Me, I really like it as well to work in South Africa. I spent like a lot of time over there, and I really enjoyed, you know, because they offer me so much, you know. There is there is a very special essence as well over there, and I very like it as well to create my project as well in Nigeria, because we're very good stuff as well. But yeah, it's very important, you know. And when I was in South Africa, I traveled all around South Africa as well, so it was a very good experience. And every time I like to experiment different experience, emotion, and time.
And here, the second part of the question was, you know, how have people in the community responded to working with you? I know you mentioned that in Guinea, in your first project, that you were actually arrested by the police in doing it. Obviously, you got out of it, but you know, are people generally curious about what you're doing? Are they eager to participate?
Yeah. The most of the time they're curious, because the most of the time, you know, when I do my own work, I go to places that it doesn't happen a lot of things. It can be totally lost in the Bruce, in the countryside. They don't have any network connection with the world. You know what I mean? It's like totally like a kind of like lockdown, if you want. So the most of them are very curious about what I'm doing, and they enjoy to work with me. And as well, it's an experience to be a model and to be part of that project and explain well to them before to shoot them. And I remember, some, because now it depends where you are from in Africa, but I think it was very interesting that when you decide to take them in pictures, a lot of times they start to smile, because it's normally I say, no, don't smile, no, just be serious, because I would like to feel what you have inside of yourself. I would like to take a picture about the emotions that I can feel of that you have inside of yourself, and they didn't really understand why I don't have to smile, because normally I'm supposed to smile, in a picture, except maybe some people that they know about art or but that things is the story. It's really I think it's a small comment. It's a little story funny.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you have any questions from people here in the audience?
Will there be a transcript of this? I had a lot of trouble hearing
Yeah.
her accent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a little echoey in here, so yeah, it's recorded. Yeah, I understand. It'll be, we'll have a transcript available with the artist talk on the website.
And
So.
we just go online.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Super.
Yeah. So, cool. Do you have one maybe last question here from Mark? Are there any places where NAMSA you would like to explore in new series that you haven't done already?
I would like, from the last year, I would like to go in Senegal to do a new project. And I hope I could have the opportunity maybe to go over there the next year, or maybe in 2 years, and to spend like 2 months and to create something new. I wish I could make it.
Great. All right. Well, are those all the questions, Brian?
Yeah, that's all that we've got. So I think we're going to wrap it up. So thank you guys for sticking with us. Sorry for the technical difficulties and the echoes here, but the Artist Talk will be up on our website and our YouTube live page. So you can check it out anytime during the show and even after. So thanks again to you guys, Joseph and NAMSA. Really appreciate your time today. Wherever you are here in the country or in Europe. Thanks again for everyone else for being here, and we'll see you around.
All right, thanks a lot, and great to see you, NAMSA.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you so much, Brian and Ashley Museum. You've given to me this opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, our pleasure. All right.